thousands of voices, fused into one, shaking the stones of the Hippodrome. Nika, 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 win, win, win. But this isn't a chariot race anymore. This is an uprising. And inside the Imperial Palace, through smoke-heavy corridors and the echo of crumbling masonry, a circle of the most powerful men in the known world has reached a consensus. Run. The Emperor Justinian, ruler of Rome's last great empire, is pacing. His advisors are already eyeing the harbor. Ships are waiting. Gold is being gathered. Every logical calculation points to the same answer. Consider flight, regroup later, survive. And then a woman speaks. She is not a general. She is not a senator. Half the court still whispers about the stories told about where she came from. But when her voice cuts through the room, every man stops. She says she will not go. To understand what she risked that night, you have to understand what she'd already survived. Rewind 3 decades. Constantinople, the largest, richest, most dangerous city on earth. Below the marble palaces and golden mosaics, there's another world. The world of the Hippodrome's back corridors, the animal pens, the performers' quarters. Theodora is born here, into this underclass. Her father keeps bears for the arena. When he dies, the family is left with nothing. No inheritance, no patron, no safety net. What follows is a childhood shaped by spectacle and desperation. Theodora enters the world of the stage actress, dancer, performer, in a society where actress is barely a step above the gutter in social rank. The whispers about her early years will follow her for the rest of her life, amplified later by the hostile court historian Procopius, who will write 2 completely different versions of her story, one praising her as a noble empress, the other painting her in the darkest possible terms. The truth, as always, is more complicated than either account. What matters is this: she survived, and somewhere along the way, she stopped merely surviving and began to think. By her early 20s, Theodora has transformed. She's traveled, she's studied theology. She has become politically sharp, rhetorically gifted, and utterly magnetic. When Justinian, then heir to the throne, meets her, he doesn't just fall in love. He recognizes a mind that matches his own. There's a problem. Roman law explicitly forbids a man of senatorial rank from marrying an actress. The stigma is codified, carved into the legal bedrock of the empire. So Justinian does something extraordinary. He has the law changed, not quietly. He rewrites the statute for her. In 525 CE, they marry. 2 years later, they are crowned emperor and empress. She walks into the throne room, draped in Tyrian purple, a jeweled diadem catching the light of 1,000 candles, and the aristocrats, who once wouldn't have let her through the servants' entrance, now bow. But they do not forget. As empress, Theodora doesn't retreat into ceremony. She governs. She builds influence within court networks inside the palace walls. She pushes Justinian toward laws that no one else is championing. Legislation against trafficking, legal protections for actresses and former prostitutes, implementing protections for vulnerable women, property rights for women in divorce. She shelters Monophysite clergy in the imperial residence itself, a quiet act of defiance against the empire's official religious orthodoxy, and one that Justinian publicly cannot endorse but privately allows. She is not decorative, she is operational, and that fact makes powerful men deeply uncomfortable. January 532 CE. The tension that's been building for years finally cracks open. Constantinople's political life revolves around the Hippodrome, its chariot factions, The blues and the greens are not just sports fans. They are paramilitary networks, power blocks, voices of the street. They have spent years at each other's throats. But now, for the first time, they unite against Justinian. The spark is a botched execution. The fuel is years of heavy taxation and political resentment. Within hours, the chanting begins. Nika, the races stop, the city ignites. Rioters burn the Senate House, the cathedral, entire neighborhoods. They drag a reluctant rival emperor out of hiding and crown him in the Forum. The Imperial Guard begins to waver. Some soldiers defect. By the fifth day, Constantinople is unrecognizable. Ash drifts through the air like grey snow, settling on the rubble of what was, days ago, the most magnificent city in the world. Inside the palace, the debate is over. Justinian is considering flight. The ships are ready. Every advisor agrees, except one. Theodora rises. The room falls silent, not out of respect, not yet, but out of sheer disbelief. What she says next will be quoted for 1,500 years. She tells them that every person dies, but not every death means the same thing. She tells them that she, for one, refuses to live as a fugitive, to be stripped of this purple, and survive as a nobody. Not again, not after everything. Royalty, she says, is a fine burial shroud. She is not shouting. That's what makes it devastating. Her voice is level, controlled, almost quiet. Around her, men who command legions are trembling, and she is still. It is not a military argument or a strategic calculation. It is a moral ultimatum delivered by a woman who has already lived the life they're afraid of. Poverty, disgrace, invisibility, and who has decided, with absolute clarity, that she would rather die on a throne than return to it. The room shifts. Justinian sits back down. Flight is abandoned. What happens next is not heroic, it is brutal. Generals Belisarius and Mundus receive their orders. They move loyal troops to the Hippodrome, where tens of thousands of rioters have gathered. The gates are sealed. The killing takes hours. When it ends, roughly 30,000 people lie dead. On the stone floors of the arena, sandals slip in blood. The silence afterward is worse than the screaming. The Nika Revolt is over. The empire is saved. The cost is catastrophic. In the years that follow, Constantinople rises again, almost literally from its own ashes. Justinian launches the most ambitious building program the empire has ever seen. And at the center of it, the Hagia Sophia, a cathedral so vast, so beautiful, that when Justinian first walks inside, he reportedly whispers that he has surpassed Solomon. Its dome seems to float on light itself, a structure born from destruction, order reassembled from chaos. Theodora remains at the center of power. She advises, she maneuvers, she protects her allies and dismantles her enemies. No one questions her legitimacy in the same way again. She dies in 548 CE, likely from cancer, still empress, never deposed, never exiled, never silenced. History can't quite decide what to do with Theodora. She is either a visionary who expanded the legal rights of women centuries before such ideas became mainstream, or a ruthless operator who clawed her way to power and held it through fear and manipulation. Procopius left us both versions, and the argument has never been settled. But here's what isn't ambiguous. On a night when an empire was ready to collapse, when every general and every senator and the emperor himself were weighing escape, a woman who had been born in the dirt beneath the Hippodrome stood, looked at the most powerful men alive, and said no. She didn't save Constantinople with a sword. She saved it with a sentence. And the brutal, magnificent, blood-soaked empire that followed for better and for worse exists because one person in that room decided that the throne was worth more than her life. 3 leadership lessons remain. In moments of crisis, decisive conviction can change history. Hesitation can destroy it. Your past does not define your authority. How you act under pressure does. True leadership is influence, not position. Power comes from shaping decisions when it matters most. Whether that makes her a hero or something else entirely, that's the question she leaves us with. And 15 centuries later, we still haven't answered it. If this story moved you, subscribe. There are more voices like hers buried, forgotten, waiting. We'll find them together.